I mean, I know I made a joke about this with the Azula thing, but when you can do something the long way, it becomes abusable. This is Earthbending 2
The
the
long
long
fang way?
Do you want to talk about Long Fang?
No, I just wanted to make a long fang joke at you, so you're welcome.
I appreciate that. That's so stupid. Hello, all you watchers and listeners out there. It's us with the MTG Thoughtcast. Thanks for clicking on this. Thanks for tuning in. We are kicking off the Avatar season, aren't we, John?
Woohoo! Earthbending style.
Style, Lord Melon. Oh, man, this is a special one for us, John. This is, do you remember you and I watching the first episode of Avatar when it aired on TV?
You know, truthfully, I actually don't. I remember us finishing the series together, but beginning it from the ground up. No, I actually truthfully don't remember that.
Dude, we were there day one when it released. I remember it. Well, before we start talking Avatar and all of the exciting cards that I cannot wait to talk about, the Azulas, the Ags, all of the goodies, we need to give a quick shout out to our friends and sponsor of the show, Heavy Play. These are some of our favorite gaming accessories. These are playmats, dice boxes, deck boxes. They're magnetic. They go together. They're portable. They're finished beautifully. It is really, really excellent stuff. They just put out, did you see the art series, John, that they put out?
I saw some of those. Those look slick.
God, really sweet original art that was made just for their playmats. Go check those out. If you want 10% off of your first order with Heavy Play, you can use code MTG Thoughtcast at checkout. That's all one word. Or you can go to heavyplay.com/MTG Thoughtcast. That is linked down below. While you're looking down there, if you want a place to hang out with John and I, get some deck advice, play some games perhaps, you need to join our Discord. That's the easiest place to find both of us. It's linked down below. It's totally free. If you're down there and you want to support the channel while you're there, you can just hit all of the lovely little YouTube buttons. We really appreciate everyone. We had a nice little influx of subscribers recently, so hello to everybody who's there. If you've not subscribed, please consider it. It really helps out the channel a ton. And likes and comments are more important now than ever because of some wonky Google stuff that they're doing. So if you're there, just give us a like. Leave a comment, maybe your favorite episode of Avatar. That's today's comment farm. Let us know what your favorite is down below, and we will be responding to those with haste. Let's talk Avatar. Speaking of Avatar episodes, John, there is so much to go over today. First and foremost, this was the set that you cited as your dream Universes Beyond. Was that a year ago now? A year and a half ago, maybe?
Yeah, a good bit ago now at this point. Yeah, it was one of those when Universes Beyond was kind of first getting kicked off as sort of this, we can see the product outside of Secret Lair, right? I think that was the same year of Lord of the Rings, I want to say, or maybe Lord of the Rings was just upcoming or something like that. And we had already received stuff like the Warhammer Commander decks. And I think Doctor Who already happened, maybe. But the point is we obviously did not know about this set. But yeah, I had pinned it as something, just thinking of because of the sort of topic that Avatar was, I really only thought that there was going to be potential here for just commander decks, right? That kind of just felt shoehorned right in. It's like, oh, 4 nations, 4 commander decks, duh. But then we learned that it's a full booster product set, and then that felt weird, I suppose, at first. But then really thinking about it, a full booster product with a variety of different versions of our characters and episodes, we get to see their growth across the whole story arc that takes place over the course of this show, which is a very good defining point to help you pinpoint exactly what this cartoon, this show was all about. This is a show about character growth or personal growth in oneself. Yes. We see that across every single character that is at least a mainstay character, I'd say, as part of this show, from Avatar Aang himself all the way over to our villains with stuff like Zuko and Ozai and Azula and things like that. Everybody has a dynamic to them that they are not the same person that we first saw when that character is first introduced. So having a full booster set like this helps us explore that iconography of this incredible show.
Yeah, and I'll say off rip, the art is absolutely doing it for me. It feels both like the show and also like Magic. I think, obviously a lot of the discourse around Universes Beyond and even internally from the show here has been, I like it when it feels like Magic. It just feels like they're putting something beloved into Magic and not the other way around, where they're just kind of skinning other things as Magic. This feels like it would fit in a traditional Magic set. I think that's part of just why it feels so at home. I can tell that there's a lot of love that's being put into this from the designers and from the artists. This is something that feels sacred to those people, and it very much shows in the art and the design of these. Today, as of recording, was the debut stream, and the things we're going to be talking about today are mostly from that, as well as a few other spoilers prior to that with like the jump starts and the intro decks and things like that. But I think most of what we're going to be talking about is from the debut stream today, where we went over mechanics, new cards, what type of products there are going to be. So this is just a little recap of that in a way through the lens of these two brothers here who loved this show and love this game. So I think you were saying, the show is a story about character arcs and how people have grown and maybe lessons that they've learned along the way. And that is showcased in one of the first mechanics we're talking about today, which is lessons. This was a mechanic that was originally from Strixhaven to show teachings. They were on instants and sorceries, and they can live either in your deck or in your sideboard for your deck. And when you learn a lesson, you can either grab because learn is also a part of this set, right?
It is not.
Oh, it's just lessons.
That is correct. This is the difference between the lessons that we got from Strixhaven and the lessons that we are receiving here in this set. The ones that you're describing about from Strixhaven, those lessons had a bit of like a higher mana value cost to them because of the fact that the main set included cards that featured the learning mechanic that either let you discard a card, draw a card, or from your sideboard grab a lesson. The lessons in this set here, they are simply on the instants and sorceries, but this is being compounded with other cards and effects in this set who care about either the lessons you have cast, the ones that you have already done as well, right? Your lessons that you're casting or your lessons in your graveyard to that degree. Because teaching and learning these techniques, the bending techniques, is a very big part of what this show is all about. If you want to break it down at its core, it is Aang going from simply being an airbender all the way up to being the master of all four elements.
Yeah, and there's obviously a lot of lessons along the way. I think the point I was trying to make is that these lessons do work with the learn ability as well.
Correct.
Whether or not it's a part of the set. So if you have, let's say you're playing a learn deck, it's not a bad ability. I mean, even just using learn as draw discard, obviously the sideboard part of it doesn't necessarily matter for us as commander players. But maybe your little kitchen table learn deck, you have now some new options for lessons. But I think I agree with you. It's a cool way to just showcase somebody learning something while not impacting the spell greatly and being able to have another grouping for more flavor options. Yeah. One of the sickest ones that cares about lessons and learning, and one of the exciting mythics is this Iroh, which I need to pull up here.
The one you were looking for is Iroh Grand Lotus.
Yeah, dude. It's 6 mana with Timur colors for a 5/5. human noble, and it is an ally. They got his flavor so correct. This also showcases him later in the show as an ally to the team. So yeah, 3 green, blue, and red for a 5/5, and he has Firebending 2, which we'll talk about more in depth in a second. The really cool part of his ability is that during your turn, each non-lesson instant and sorcery in your graveyard has flashback. The flashback cost is equal to the card's mana cost. So it's like a snapcaster for all of your instants and sorceries that aren't lessons. The cool part is that during your turn, each lesson card in your graveyard has flashback of a generic mana, one singular mana that he can just flash back your lessons for, which, like you said, from the Strixhaven set, those lessons had a much higher mana value. So being able to just play lessons for a single mana out of your graveyard with flashback is so insane.
Oh, what kind of lessons would you want to flashback? How about this stupid one that I saw called Secret of Bloodbending? Did you see that one?
Oh, John. Yes.
This is one of those said lessons that would be stupid to flashback with Iroh. It casts for blue, 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 blue. But as an additional cost to cast it, you may waterbend 10. Again, we will talk about that in just a brief moment. You control target opponent during their next combat phase. If the spell's additional cost was paid, you control that player during their next turn instead, and then it exiles itself.
And boy, does this showcase an unbelievable section of the show. The whole swamp benders, it's so sick. I love that they're doing this. I think that this is, again, before we get into some of the more unique abilities and unique mechanics for Avatar, the lessons is such a great way because, like you said, that's just what the show is. It's him learning how to be the Avatar, but also everybody's learning along the way. So just learning these lessons, picking these up from different characters, and then having those all showcased on unbelievably cool Magic cards. Boy, is that Iroh sick, dude. I even just like ignore the lesson part of it, but just having, I love reanimating spells. What do I love more? Graveyard and gigantic instants and sorceries. This Iroh is perfect, and I love that it's Teamer as well. You wouldn't expect him as a character to be anything other than red or maybe red-white, but he's none of those. He's red, blue, and green, which is just so sick.
Yeah, who's the most different out of the Fire Nation than our best friend Iroh,
Absolutely, yes. If only they had him deal with some tea. I think while we're talking about Iroh and this Iroh Grand Lotus, let's maybe talk about Firebending while we're here. It's a very simple ability.
We could start there, sure. I think it's definitely the most interesting, I feel like, because of how it is structured as far as when the trigger of it actually goes off, the kind of things that you can do with this ability. I think it's very interesting.
Yeah, tell me about it.
So firebending is a end-determined type of ability that certain cards will have different numbers. So let's say in the case of firebending student, it has a 1 in a red 1/2 human monk. It's got prowess and firebending X, where X is this creature's power. But that number can be different from card to card. We have something like the tokens that are created off of Fire Nation attacks. Those are 2/2 red soldiers with firebending 1. So we can see this variable in a variety of different methods. But what firebending actually does is that when the creature with the firebending number attacks, you add X red mana, and that mana lasts until the end of combat.
Yeah, it's so interesting because there's a lot of mana being thrown around from firebending, but it's only for things that you could do exclusively during the combat step.
So that's why this set, especially in the red colors, has a lot of things like instant speed spells, or in the case of other creatures who naturally have like activated abilities on themselves that you could funnel that mana into if you're firebending like off of itself, or if you have other creatures that have gained firebending, right? Like I think we saw Sozin's Comet the other day that gives firebending, what is that, 5?
5 to all of your creatures.
3 in double red sorcery. Each creature you control gains firebending 5 until end of turn. And then it also has Foretell for 2 in a red.
Dude, it's so wacky. This is the most red mana that you could make with any one spell. Because like I mean, this goes far beyond Mana Geyser. Mana Geyser is like 5 mana make 15. This is 5 mana make 15 if you only have 3 creatures in play. But again, this is all all that mana will go away at the end of combat step if you don't have any way to use it as an outlet. So we talk a lot about
if you're not holding it into something like Ozai the Phoenix King.
Yeah, dude. Oh, baby.
Stupid.
Ozai the Phoenix King.
2 black, black, red, red. Legendary human noble is a 7/7. Trample, firebending 4, haste. If you would lose unspent mana, that mana becomes red instead. Ozai has flying and indestructible as long as you have 6 or more unspent mana.
I'm all over this, dude.
Have you ever wanted to play
sweet.
Omnath on crack? Here you go.
Yes. It's sick that it almost is more like Cryphix than it is Omnath, where like OG Cryphix just held mana and turned it into colorless mana. This turns it into red mana. And especially with all that firebending, it's already red mana. So it just holds on to all of it. And yeah, that ability of like, all you have to do is have 2 extra mana outside of his firebending 4 that he already does to then become a flying, haste, trample, indestructible 7/7.
Yeah.
This dude is crazy.
Yeah, what I find most interesting about it is like read how much like a demon this is, but on a human. So like there's got to be something stupid there to do with like cheating or reanimating a human into play, but you get this kind of like whack crack ability that we see on like Rakdos cards, you know?
It's ridiculous.
The demon, not the color, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think a 6 mana 7/7 should be very powerful, and also the character of Ozai should certainly be very powerful, and this is both of those. So what an unbelievable pull there. One of my favorite of the firebending cards that got revealed is his daughter, Azula, Cunning Usurper. And this is a fascinating one to talk about in a couple of different ways. First of all, this is a Dimir card that has firebending. And I specify Dimir because firebending works like Extort, where the colored mana pips exist in the flavor, or not in the flavor text, the reminder text for the ability, meaning that if you were to build Azula, Cunning Usurper, you are building a Dimir deck and cannot include red cards in it. Even though she makes red mana, it's coming from reminder text, so the color identity stays blue-black, but she has firebending too. So this is 2 blue-black-black for a 4/4. Firebending 2. When she enters, target opponent exiles a non-token creature they control. Then they exile a non-land card from their graveyard. So you get both a creature and a card from their graveyard. The opponent gets to pick both of those. During your turn, you may cast cards exiled with Azula. You may cast them as though they had flash, and mana of any type can be spent to cast those spells. So if they get rid of something...
I missed that part about flash. Holy cow.
That's what I'm saying. So her firebending becomes useful because you can cast them during combat with the firebending ability. It's so sweet. Yeah, and obviously this is like a great card to be blinking because you just edict their non-token creatures of their choice and continue to get their graveyard hate, and then you just get to cast all of those things, and she makes mana for them. Really, really sweet version of Azula. There also is one, it's the mono black Azula that just does other cool Azula on the Hunt does cool firebending stuff. Once again, this is a mono black card, even though it has a red pips on it. It's in the reminder text, so it's a 4 mana for a 4/3 with firebending 2. Whenever she attacks, you lose a life and create a clue token, which a clue, obviously you can pay 2 to sacrifice it and draw a card. So you can use her firebending 2 to crack that clue as soon as she attacks.
Nice.
This is attacks, lose a life, draw a card, but the long way around, which is a really, really sweet way to do it if you have anything that cares about a token entering or being sacrificed or any of it. I mean, even just a creature that draws a card when it attacks is very good to begin with.
Or in the case with this card itself as well, if you don't necessarily need that for the card draw part of this, this is an interesting card that can pair alongside with, because what I find most interesting about with the mechanics of this set is that some of them play really well together. So in the case of this Azula, she pops out an artifact that would help you then do the cards that have waterbending.
Yep, absolutely. Let's go straight into waterbending from here. We talked about Secret of Bloodbending already, which had waterbending 10 on it.
Yes, it did.
So let's maybe scale that back a bit. Tell me about waterbending.
So waterbending, the cards that have it, is a activated ability cost in a similar fashion to that you would find on something like, say, Convoke or Improvise. If a card has waterbending, and again, the cost can be different per card. So like if I'm looking at something like, say, Water Tribe Ralliers. They are 1 and a white for a 2/2 human soldier ally, and they have waterbending 5. While paying a waterbending cost, you can tap your artifacts and creatures to help. Each one pays for 1 of that mana cost. And then this card itself, for that 5 mana activated ability, you look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card with power 3 or less from among them, put it into your hand, put the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order.
Very, very strong. This is a very cool ability. I love that it's Convoke, but it's on an activated ability. It just shows up in really neat ways. I think this is probably my least favorite of the 4 bending abilities. Just because I don't like tapping down my creatures for things other than combat. So I'm struggling to find myself really like stoked on waterbending.
I'm sure they definitely thought about that. Is why these types of cards allow you to also tap artifacts to help you pay for them. So in that similar vein of how like we can use Improvise on things like artifacts, again, back to the clue tokens things, note that this doesn't say that it has to be a token creature or not. So if you're sitting behind a board of, again, let's say treasures, right? If you've got treasures and waterbending activated abilities, you can now then use those treasures to help you pay those costs without inherently sacrificing them. Or anything else you're sitting on. You know, if you're sitting on clues, are you sitting on food, which is actually a part of this set as well, by the way.
Yes.
Bloods,
Very
junks, whatever. Again, creature, non-creature, token, non-token, whatever. You can tap anything down into this. And then there's obviously benefits that would care about, like if you have your creatures already tapped, a certain effects, and you can untap them again to reuse them for these abilities. So just like, it's very neat. And then being on activated ability costs, those kinds of things can be copied and whatever. So that's very sick.
Super good. I hope that they show off some waterbend. Again, just having like additional cost to cast that you may waterbend 10, like that's a really sweet line of text on there. I'm looking forward to them putting out a waterbending card that I'm really stoked on. Outside of that, obviously, utility of untapping your creatures or creatures with vigilance become really strong with these abilities because you can do them post combat after you've attacked, or you can use them and then untap them. I would expect to see stock in something like Drum Bellower really going up if you're planning on putting waterbending.
Seaborn Muse probably as well. Same thing.
Exactly. Right.
Even a winding clock actually as well, by the way, because again, you can use the artifacts, right? Exactly. Precisely.
Yep. So, super good.
Yeah. I guess, not much really to add about that, I'd say, right? Because I think I'm in the same boat as you. Waterbending is certainly a cool ability, but of the ones that are showcased here, not my favorite either, because, we've seen Convoke, we've seen Improvise, and I understand it's hard nowadays to make a standout unique mechanic. We've got over 35 years of cards here, so like there's going to be overlap somewhere, but
everything is kicker or horsemanship. As we will see. Well, while we're talking about the bendings, let's get straight into earth bending, baby. This is one that is exciting to me.
I think this one's very cool.
Earth bending is the ability. I'm trying to find one that has all of the reminder text on it. Earth bending. I literally have been sitting here looking for one that has all the text on it. Here, let me just pull up Badger Mole Cub.
I was right there as well, actually.
Yep. Badger Mole Cub seems very strong. This is 1 and a green for a 2/2. It's a Badger Mole, which is sweet. When it enters, you Earthbend 1, which is target land you control becomes a 0/0 creature with haste. That's still a land. You put in this case, you put 1+1/+1 counter on it because it's Earthbend 1. And then when it dies or is exiled, you return it to the battlefield tapped. So if anything happens to the land that you've Earthbended, it just returns as a land, which is really cool flavor. And then Badger Mole Cub itself says, whenever you tap a creature for mana, add an additional green. Welcome back, Kinnan Bodner Prodigy. This is really sweet, dude. Because not only does this make you it turns one of your lands into a creature that then can tap for 2 mana. So it does still ramp you, even though it gets rid of one of your lands, because that land can now tap for an additional green. This also affects like Llanowar Elves, and this affects Birds of Paradise and all of your actual mana dorks. That if you're playing a deck that has a ton of those, Badger Mole Cub slots immediately into it, as it would help double ramp you for each of your creatures that taps for mana.
I feel you're definitely, if you're doing any kind of deck that is specifically, the one I think of off Dome is Leyline of Abundance, which is the Leyline that does this. So like if you're already playing Leyline of Abundance, this is probably already something that you want as well. Because what, like you had mentioned about one of the risks with cards like these traditionally in old Magic, the ones that bring your lands to life, they don't have any text on them at any kind, that should that land get blown up in a wrath, those lands are just gone for you indefinitely. Yep. Your earth-bended lands specifically, they gain that ability that they become animated as a creature permanently, but should they die or go to exile, you will get it back. So there is minimal risk for doing something like this. Even if the Badger Mole Cub is coming down on your turn 2 and animating one of the lands you use to tap to cast said Badger Mole Cub, you won't immediately get blown out that turn.
Yeah, really, really strong being able to get that back from your graveyard. They're also like that in and of itself is kind of its own ability. Do you have the Toph pulled up that is the
metal bending one?
Yes.
Yeah, I know we were going to circle back to this one again someday. I know we talked about this not too terribly long ago when talking about our artifact decks how-to guide. So here we are again, circling back around to Toph, the first metal bender, which is a sick card. I think even still, after receiving first days of previews, I want to say maybe other than the Iroh, who cares about lessons, I still think this is the most unique commander idea out of this entire set so far.
Yeah.
Toph herself is 1 in red, green, and a white. Naya, legendary creature, human warrior allies, a 3/3. Non-token artifacts you control are lands in addition to their other types. They don't gain the ability to tap for mana, specifically there in the reminder text for this card. And at the beginning of your end step, Earthbend 2. Target land you control becomes a 0/0 creature with haste that's still a land. Put 2 1/1 counters on it. When it dies or is exiled, return it to the battlefield tapped.
So this kind of covers a lot of additional things that Landfall is trying to do. Not Landfall, Earthbending. What I was going to say is that this allows your artifacts to trigger Landfall as they come in because they come in as
non-token ones. Yeah,
exactly. It also allows for some crazy like your land creatures, because if you play an artifact creature, it's actually an artifact creature land. So that kind of protects your artifacts from destroy target non-land permanent abilities. It's very similar to how like Ashaya, Soul of the Wild, turning your creatures into lands is a massive upside, and you get to play like destroy all non-land permanents and keep most of your board. Like there's just really exciting things behind that, especially if you're using a Liquimetal Torque, which, my God, I cannot tell you guys to use Liquimetal Torque enough to turn, you could turn Toph into an artifact, which then she makes herself into a land, and then you could play a destroy all non-land, permanents or whatever, and she wouldn't be able to die from that. There's really sick things, but also even if any of your artifacts did get wiped in any of that, if you've earthbended onto those artifacts, they would come back. So you get additional ETBs if you're playing like an Aristocrats build of this, which is really cool with lands as well. You can go and check out my unique builds from Edge of Eternities, which was Manland Aristocrats, and understand how incredible so much of this earthbending stuff would be in that deck, because it just naturally brings them back once you get rid of them or exile them or anything. Really, really sweet stuff happening. But the other thing that it does is deal with +1/+1 counters, which, as we know, is a very, very strong ability in Magic. This card here, the Dai Li Agents, kind of deals with that a bit more, where when it's 5 mana, 3/4, that when this creature enters, you earthbend 1, then earthbend 1. So 2 of your lands each become 1/1s from this. And then whenever this creature attacks, each opponent loses X life, and you gain X life, where X is the number of creatures you control with +1/+1 counters on them. So this is kind of showcasing how you could use earthbending outside of an earthbending specific deck, where this just happens to make 2 creatures with +1/+1 counters on them. And then if you're playing any others, this gets absurd, where you just attack and then like drain your opponents equal to the number of creatures with counters on them.
It is also interesting. You can target the same land. I was just double checking on that. Like it just says you earthbend onto a land. So if you either wanted to make 2 1/1s or 1 2/2 just by itself, plus on top of any other earthbended lands that you've already done, because the reminder text does specifically say that it is still a land, so you still could target it.
Yeah, I mean, I know I made a joke about this with the Azula thing, but when you can do something the long way, it becomes abusable. This is earthbending too.
The long Fang way?
Ah, do you want to talk about Long Fang?
No, I just wanted to make a Long Fang joke at you, so you're welcome.
I appreciate that. That's so stupid.
Long Fang is long gone.
I think you found your cold open there. That's really sweet.
Brilliant.
Well, I think the last of the bendings is obviously air bending. Air bending itself is exiling a non-land permanent. Or is it a creature? Does it say?
Yeah, they can hit non-land permanents. A lot of them just specifically say creature, but there are a few that are able to hit non-land permanents specifically as well. So like the example one I wanted to go with was actually one of the first previews that they showed for this set, the Appa Steadfast Guardian.
Yeah, baby.
2 and double white for a 3/4 legendary Bison ally. Flash, flying, and when Appa enters, you airbend any number of other target non-land permanents you control, and then whenever you cast a spell from exile, you create a 1/1 white ally creature token. An airbended permanent, if you exile it, when it is sent off into exile, its owner may cast it for 2 rather than its mana cost.
Yeah, so it's like you're foretelling a creature or a non-land permanent or something. It's a really sweet ability. It's once again, blink the long way for yourself. But if you airbend something of an opponent's, there's plenty of ways to interact with like spells they cast from exile costing more, or you can't cast spells from exile, which would turn airbending into removal. There's just a lot of really interesting ways to interact with this. Yeah, I think Appa is definitely one of the more interesting ones of it, because Appa almost acts like Abdel Adrian in this context, where the fact that it's flash is obviously amazing, because if someone goes to board wipe you, you can just flash in Appa and say see ya to our bison friend, rather than your entire board, and then over the next few turns start rebuilding your board. Just a great way to protect from a board wipe. But then, yeah, like I said, airbending your opponent's things kind of becomes removal in a weird way.
Yeah. But like, here's an interesting angle on something like this, right? Like, note that it says, you do the airbend and the thing goes off into exile and you get to cast it then again, rather for 2. What's one of the issues that can come up with playing in specifically a blink deck with something like, say, Conjurer's Closet, where like, obviously you may choose to blink a creature, but let's say you're in a situation where you're force blinking a creature in and out, and it is something something you have re-entering the battlefield and there's no good targets for that thing of removal, right? Meteor golems or like a ravenous chupacabra that blows up a creature. An airbended thing sent off into exile, you get to hold that there in that exile until whatever time is most appropriate for you. So that if you want to say you did a thing with a very cool ETB, you airbend it away until a later appropriate time, then you just basically you save it for when it is most appropriate to replay. There was a really cool one that you pointed out with airbending called the Airbender Ascension. You were calling this out as like a really cheap new version of Teleportation Circle, I believe you saw.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's 1 and a white for an enchantment, and when it enters, you airbend up to one target creature. It can be yours or your opponent's. Very interesting on that card here. When a creature you control enters, you put a quest counter on this enchantment, and at the beginning of your end step, if this enchantment has 4 or more quest counters on it, exile up to one target creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control.
This is a ridiculous card. Teleportation Circle, Conjurer's Closet, all of those are Blink staples. And this is basically just it, but cheaper. And the fact that you get an airbending trigger when it enters is so good. Again, notably, the airbend does not have to be your own creature, even though it can be and will help bring the Ascension forward. But being able to just get one of those off on your own airbending trigger, and then if you play Hop to It or something that makes tokens, because this also doesn't say when a non-token creature enters. It literally just needs you to play 3 more creatures or have 3 more creatures enter, and then you just get a Conjurer's Closet.
This seems great.
Mana.
This seems great with a deck of any kind that is using any of those white creatures who make you soldier tokens equal to your devotion to white.
Yeah, dude, this is great in a deck that has a Lurrus companion, because this is now access to Conjurer's Closet in a Lurrus companion deck. That is bananas. I love this card so much. It also really, really makes me believe and hope that they're going to do a full Ascension cycle of the four bendings, because wow, I love those enchantments so much. I love Pyromancer's Ascension is one of my favorite cards. I play it in my Slime Against Humanity deck because, my God, if I get the chance to play Pyromancer's Ascension in a commander deck, I'm gonna take it. Yeah, I love all of these Ascensions that deal with the quest counters, and then you get some crazy ability from them. So the fact that this is maybe hinting that they're going to do a full cycle of these is right up my alley.
So that covers everything as far as I'm aware for all the bendings, and then you talked about the lesson type of cards. The last kind of overarching mechanic that you can find throughout the course of this set is the assortment of characters who are identified as the allies.
Yes, that's true. This is a returning mechanic.
Yeah, originally kind of like the core of our Zendikar blocks. We haven't really seen allies again in pretty much ever. They've only ever really done like allies sort of as like flavor callouts to specifically characters who came from the Zendikar world. So now we have a set just like this where we have seen on different characters like Iroh that they can gain an ally status later depending on what segment of the show that card is depicting. And
so sweet.
And the allies themselves stretch all the 5 colors as well. So we can show a showcase on what this type of mechanic is looking to do with a card called Earth King's Lieutenant.
Nice.
It's green and a white for a 1/1 human soldier ally, has trample. When this creature enters, you put a 1/1 counter on each other ally creature you control. And whenever another ally you control enters, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. Hey, it's
Champion of the Parish.
Champion of the Parish, but for allies.
I love that, dude. Or Champion of the Perished. Those ones. God, what good cards. I love those. I love Thalia's Lieutenant. Just these, all of these, it buffs your team and then further buffs itself. You're both going wide and tall. And Earth King's Lieutenant is slamming in an ally deck like this. Obviously,
and it's very cool because, you know, like kindred be kindred, you know, you can take the core strategy on what allies are looking to do and take it in a variety of different shells, right? So like in the case of Earth King's Lieutenant, he really wants you to go wide, whereas compared to like some other ones, like say the Bant Qatar That one is doubling up the triggers from allies to make sure that you're playing the ones who have very strong, relevant enter the battlefield triggers.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Katara, this seems to be an ability that's going to largely be in Bant, which is green, white, and blue, as she is green, white, and blue. This Aang at the Crossroads is another great ally. This is, what's great is he doesn't actually necessarily care about allies, but is just very good. So he's 2 in Bant for a 3/3 with flying. He is a human avatar ally, and then when he enters, you look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a creature card with mana value 4 or less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order. So that obviously works because your allies are creatures, especially the smaller ones, and he puts them straight into play. And if you have something like Katara in play, that'll double the trigger for him because he is an ally. And then he flips whenever another creature you control leaves the battlefield. Oh, really tough ability to trigger there. A wizard. He flips into Aang, Destined Savior, which is a 4/4 with flying. It says land creatures you control have vigilance. And at the beginning of combat on your turn, Earthbend 2. This is so good. So every turn, you're turning one of your lands into a 2/2 that has vigilance, which again, as evidenced with something like waterbending, which you can actually use these for waterbending. You can either tap them for mana or tap them for waterbending.
Wow.
I know, so great. You can tap it the long way. You can, attack first and then use them for any spells or abilities in the post-combat main phase. So Allies was very strong in Zendikar, and I believe will continue to have its reputation preceding it in this Avatar set.
Excellent. And that covers everything as far as what's going to be in the main set, as far as mechanics.
Yeah. As we're landing the plane here on the kickoff episode, is there any cards that don't fit into any of these categories? Any ones we haven't talked about that you just can't stop thinking and chewing on?
Let's talk about my shrine bear. It's Heibai, the forest guardian. Shrines is a little bit of a sub theme as far as we're aware if the set is concerned. We've seen a couple of them shown off, but shrines, as you all know, most of you who know me, but if you have not met me before, hi, I'm the shrines problem.
The shrines guy.
I play the shrines deck, and in the Jumpstart collection for this booster set is a card called Heibai, the Forest Guardian. It is 3 and a green for a 4/4 legendary bear spirit. When Heibai enters, you reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a shrine. You may put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle. And for white, blue, black, red, green, and tap, for each legendary enchantment you control, create a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token with this token can't block or be blocked by non-spirit creatures.
I told you, it's all horsemanship. Always leads back there. These have spirit horsemanship. Spirit the horse. This is a horsemanship, but it's Spirit. The movie. I love this card. I know the complaint is generic 5-color, legendary that has a 5-color activation.
This doesn't even because you
That's
need to
what I'm saying is this is not doing that. This is a really cool and unique way to do a 5-color build because it's so hyper specific to legendary enchantments. Which what's cool is sagas also count as that.
Not all the time. Nope, not all sagas are legendary. They're historic, but not legendary.
Never mind. You can cut that.
But there are, like you had mentioned, there are a lot of legendary enchantments throughout the course of the game. This Heibai does not care about specifically if you are doing the shrines or not. Heck, as a matter of fact, this actually probably could lead into a very interesting build idea where if your Heibai comes in and you only have like a shrine or two in the deck, that then locks in the fact that like this could essentially read as that shrine in your deck is your commander because it would always cycle down into that specific shrine. I'm not sure which one you would do, right? Because like the 5-color one cares about your other shrines. Yeah, so you probably wouldn't want to do that. Maybe just the mana acceleration one, I'd say.
Could be. Who cares? It's a neat idea. I don't know if it has legs to it, but man, it's cool that he cycles down to whatever the next one is and puts it into play, right? That's how that's worded.
Yep. You can reveal it and put it in play if you want.
So again, like this is really good with airbending or with blink or any of that, where you just continue to blink him and get more and more shrines into play. And then when you're done with all of that, you can then activate his ability to make all of these creatures. And what I love is it's not just like go wide on a board and then sit behind it, because they can only block spirits as well as only being blocked by non-spirits.
Yeah.
So it's just really sick of you can then go wide on your spirits, which I know that there's a lot of things that care about those in shrines as well. So this like combo shrines spirit deck led by High Bay that blinks. I'm really into this.
Yeah. What do you got? What you excited for?
Did you see Day of Black Sun?
Oh, I did. That thing is stupid.
I think it's really neat. I want to talk about this, and then I want to talk about the Fire Nation drill as well. I'm only excited about black cards in this set. Day of Black Sun is X black black for a sorcery. Each creature with mana value X or less loses all abilities until end of turn. Destroy those creatures. That is fascinating, isn't it? Because the fear of playing Wrath is that there's somebody playing a Blood Artist at your table, or somebody playing Sephiroth, or any of these things that have these incredible when a creature dies abilities. The fact that Day of Black Sun turns off abilities of creatures first and then destroys them negates all of your creature-based aristocrat ping triggers. So that is most fascinating to me. That you just get access to that, because it also asks to be played in a black deck that's not aristocrats, because it would turn off all of your creatures X or less as well. So you also don't get those. But man, it's just asking to be put in a neat deck. You seem to be interested in this as well.
Yeah, I mean, you got to balance the cost on this here, where it's like it's only gonna be destroyed. It's a cool double edge kind of thing, right? Because like this is an X spell Wrath per se, and sometimes those are not awesome, right? Because when you get to the late game, creatures are reaching that mana value of stuffs like 5, 6, 7, and like, who's going to dump 9+ mana into this? I suppose if you really needed to in a pinch. Where I feel like a card like this is maybe strongest is in the shells that are doing the breaking mana cost type of thing. I guess Reanimator, I suppose, right? So like, let's say you've taken your first 3 turns and you reanimated something stupid in like your Golgari reanimation deck, or your mono black like Valgavoth, or you're reanimating or whatever you're doing, Saurons, anything to that degree. Then your creature is a higher mana value that would survive this kind of Wrath. You clear everything else below it, and then you just keep pummeling in.
It also is really neat on X equals 0. And just wipe all tokens off the board.
Get rid of all those pests. Get rid of all those devils. Get rid of all of the, whatevers. Hey, I was just thinking of something. I just thought of something very interesting. What does this do to Earthbended lands? Do they lose come back into play?
Exile each creature with mana value X or less loses all abilities.
Because I'm just wondering, is the coming back into play when it dies, or is that
I don't think that's an ability. I think that is a delayed trigger that happens
That
when
sounds
you
right.
put it on the Earthbended creature. Because it technically doesn't have any abilities. It's just a 0/0 with counters on it. And then I think Earthbending as the ability gives it the delayed trigger of when that creature dies, return it. So that would be really dumb to be able to do that. But I'm sure there's even somebody will sort me out in the comments of all of the interesting things that you can do with removing the abilities from creatures before they die.
Yeah.
It also gets around indestructibility and anything like that says like can't be put in the grave. I don't know if that exists. Indestructibility more than anything.
Basically, what we're getting at here is any of the stupid stuff that you can already do with Dress Down. Think about that, but on a Wrath.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think that I love that the floor of it, as we were talking about it, I realized that it is also good in an Aristocrats deck if you're doing Aristocrats with tokens, because you can just do 2 mana, wipe my board. I don't care if those creatures lose their abilities, because it is only the creatures with mana value X or less lose the abilities, and then destroy those creatures. So this wipes your own board of tokens on X equals 0, while leaving your Blood Artist and your Sephiroth alone to be able to still accumulate all of those Aristocrats triggers. Really, really sweet.
You had mentioned the drill?
Yeah, I just want to talk about how beautifully worded the Fire Nation drill is. I also just drill, baby, drill. I love the vehicles here. This is really sweet. So the Fire Nation drill is a legendary artifact vehicle, which means that it can be your commander. It is 2 black and black for a 6/3 with trample. When it enters, you may tap it. When you do, destroy target creature with power 4 or less. It has crew 2 and then an ability of 1 generic mana. Permanents your opponents control lose hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. It is the spear ability.
Spear,
it's a shadow spear on this Fire Nation drill, which is so sweet. But what's neat about the way that this is worded that I think is important to talk about is it enters and then you may tap it. So that's the trigger that goes on the stack. And then there's a delayed or like a reciprocal trigger to that of when you do tap it, destroy target creature with power 4 or less. So the only trigger that actually goes on the stack is when it enters, you may tap it. That gives you an opportunity to use its ability before you would have to target anything. So if there's something with hexproof that you want to get rid of with this, if you leave a mana up, it comes in. With the ability to you may tap it on the stack, you can use the permanents lose hexproof and indestructible trigger. Then the you may tap it goes off, which then puts the destroy target creature with power 4 or less trigger onto the stack, and then you can target the thing that had hexproof. If it was worded any other way, you would not get a moment to use the ability before targeting something with hexproof, because you would have to pick targets before it goes on the stack. So it's just a really neat way that they're playing with stack interactions and reciprocal triggers along with this Shadow Spear ability. Isn't that neat?
Yeah, and again, all of that could potentially be your commander if you've got that built in such a way, you could play this as like a mono black big drill go get 'em commander, I guess.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Yeah, just drill typle. And you can in fact target a Mother of Runes with this to drill your mom. So that's the joke, people. That's the jokes.
To round out with some interesting cards, I know you had some thoughts about Unlucky Cabbage Merchant.
Ooh, baby. Yeah, let me talk about him. I don't know if it's a particularly good card, but I really like the way it's worded, and I like what he does. So let me pull it up here real quick.
Because we have to have my cabbages man in part of this, the comedy relief of the show. Now, actually, I'm only being half joking. He was a great bit that kept running throughout the entirety of the series. But
absolutely.
The card itself, he's 1 and a green for a 2/2 human citizen. When it enters, you make a food token, and then whenever you sacrifice a food, you may search your library for a basic land card, put it on a battlefield tapped. If you search your library this way, put this creature on the bottom of its owner's library, then shuffle.
Yes. So it is neither efficient nor is it particularly good, but it slots into a really cool place where it just gives some amount of extra utility to something you might be doing already. So in a deck where you already are making food, in a deck where you are already sacrificing those food for whatever reason, I think that the Unlucky Cabbage Merchant slots right in there because again, it's sort of because of the way that the trigger is worded, where it's just whenever you sacrifice a food, you do the thing, no matter whether he is on the field or not. And then after you search that way, you put him on the bottom of the library and then shuffle. So if you have a way, let's just say a Clark Clan Ironworks, and you have a pile of like 10 food already sitting there, you play Unlucky Cabbage Merchant, and then you sacrifice all of your food with the initial trigger on the stack. He will then see all of the ones that you've sacrificed, stack all of those triggers, and then as the first one resolves, it shuffles him away, but then you get to continue doing the rest of those abilities anyway that are on the stack. So this is like, again, if you're already are in a deck where you're doing this, Unlucky Cabbage Merchant is insane, not because he's a particularly powerful ability, but because you wouldn't have been able to search for those 6 lands either ways. So being able to just throw that into whatever you're doing, not only does that thin your deck, it ramps you, it's just like a really unbelievable piece of utility.
And then he'll just pop back up again sometime and just try to get you again with his cabbages. My cabbages!
I also think it's neat the way it's worded, where you have to put him on the bottom of his owner's library. They did that so that you if you gain control of an unlucky cabbage merchant that's not yours, he then gets put on the bottom of its owner's library, and then you still do the shuffling. So that's just like, there is some sauce going on in the text lines of these avatar cards. They really cooked with them, like boiling cabbage.
And I think that covers everything that we want to discuss as far as the opening week of Avatar preview season as a whole. I mean, I guess there was a bonus sheet stuff here we could talk about briefly, I suppose. They're doing this cool thing. They are pulling a screen grab from every episode of the show and including it as a bonus card as that you can get in booster packs. They've really trimmed down how often these will come up. You'll get maybe 1 or 2 in a booster box of play boosters, I want to say. So
I hope it's Cruel Tutor.
Here he is.
Yes,
here he is at 125%. Here he is at 150%.
Oh, it's so funny. It's so ridiculous.
There are some good ones here. Did you see the Mystic Remora? That thing is sick.
Really sweet. With the koi fish swimming around. I mean, anything that gives us more Mystic Remoras, I'm in for. That alone
Dark
is
Depths. You can Dark Depths and Limited, boys. Let's go.
Boy in the ice. Yes. I'm sure there's something that cares about counters being put on things, right? There's got to be some way to break this. Super funny. Maybe we'll get like a vampire hex mage or something.
I was gonna say, is this how we do? This is how we do reverse Merit Lodge, because you earth bend the Dark Depths and then you swing with the creature inside.
That's so funny. That is deeply funny. Oh, man. Well, yeah, I think that brings us to the end of what we're planning on talking about today. I know we've also got Jumpstart to talk about, but we'll do that on a following episode. Overall feelings, I'm very excited about this set. This is giving me the feeling of Lord of the Rings. It's giving me the feeling of Final Fantasy, where there's just a lot of love and care that's being put into it, and it deeply feels like a Magic IP. Like, it kind of feels like Tarkir in some ways.
A little bit, yeah, with sort of like the elementals and like people who are kind of in their little like nations, the little corners of the world, you know what I mean? Like before there was like the whole world unison that Aang strives to do by the end of the show. Every nation of the world was kind of in their own little pocket, you know what I mean? Like even within allied like places, you know what I mean? Like North and South Pole couldn't care less about each other towards the start of the show, you know what I mean?
It's true.
So,
really, really good stuff going on in this set. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of the spoiler season. I'm definitely looking forward to playing and drafting this set. It seems like just a series of haters having even like the returning mechanics just feel so like these are really cool abilities, like the shrines and lessons and just all of these abilities all in one. I'm really looking forward to earthbending in limited. I just love man lands, dude. I just want my lands to swing at people. That's what
punch
I'm
you with a tree.
Absolutely, that's what I'm looking forward to the most. I'm gathering that you feel similarly.
And that just is the vibe in the entirety of this, because we had mentioned about at the top of the show here, this is a show, a brand, an IP that is very close and near and dear to the both of us. It is,
yes.
I don't even want to say it was like the first real like cartoon show that I got like serious about, but like I can't think of anything else more iconic from growing up than watching this program. And it's like this Avatar is a great show across all age gaps, you know what I mean? It's a fantastic early age cartoon show that you start getting attached to characters like Aang and Appa, and then you even start caring about like the tragedies of Zuko and Iroh and all these other characters you meet in between, you know what I mean? But then as adults, you get to start really enjoying the program for what it is about, showing its showcase of life lessons and how people are not to be judged and like mocked, like noted down for how they are or how they grew up on or what kind of like background they came from. People can change, people can adapt, and they can become better, stronger people through it.
Definitely. Go and watch the show for sure. It is well worth it. It is poignant. It hits as an adult in different ways than it hit as a kid. But also, I need you Zoomers to understand that when you get to the story arc of Appa getting captured, that was weeks for us. We couldn't just play the next episode. We had to wait like a month and a half to figure out what happened to Appa after he gets captured. Like, because it was like a new episode every 6 weeks, I think. And
I
it
guess
was
spoilers for a 20-year-old show, but
yeah. We're past spoilers at that point. You've seen the pull up Heartless Act, John. Just pull it up right here. Oh man, well it is great. If you feel similarly or differently, let us know in the comments down below. If you also want to reach out to us on social media, you can find us on Blue Sky, that is at MTG Thoughtcast, or Joseph-Thoughtcast or John-Thoughtcast. You can obviously find us on our Discord. That is the easiest way to reach out to us and talk about all things Avatar. We've got a spoilers tab going for all the new stuff coming out this season. And if you so want, if you feel so inclined, you can email us at mtgthoughtcast@gmail.com. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for being here. This has been Joseph and John from the MTG Thoughtcast, and we will see you next week.
Yep.
Cactus juice, it'll quench you.